Want to welcome everyone, especially if you're visiting with us today. We just want to say glad you're here. We would love to get some information from you so we can contact you and communicate with you. And also we have a gift for you today. So make sure you see us out here in the foyer by the little round tables, and we'll be happy to put that into your hands. And if you're new here today, if this is, or relatively new, this was the perfect weekend for you to come. It really is, because what we do is about once a year in January, we kind of call a timeout and we talk about kind of the state of the ministry. It's our state of the ministry address a little bit, and we talk about kind of where we've been and where we're going. We talk about vision for the future, and we got some really, exciting and cool things that are happening as we move forward, and so we want you to be in the know of that. And I think it's important when people ask you what's going on at where you go to church at Leesburg that you're able to give an educated answer to that. And so we want to do it. It's strange when you think about church. And, the reality is there's a lot of people today that are very cynical and doubtful and maybe even skeptical of the local church today. And maybe rightfully so, because, man has a tendency to mess up everything that we touch, right? And ever since the garden, we've done that. I mean, God gives it to us and we mess it up. And the church really has not been any exception to that. What God ordained to be His bride, the church, we have had a tendency to not do well. And part of the problem is that we allow the world to affect our thinking rather than we affect the world's thinking. And so we adapt that to the church's philosophy. I want you to know that when God first ordained the church and set it up, it actually was a very simple organization. It wasn't complex at all, not nearly as complex as we've made it today with a hierarchy of church governments and so forth. The plan was pretty simple. The apostles who were commissioned by Christ before He left went around and they began to set up churches in all the local communities, and then they appointed elders. And when I say elders, I'm not talking about necessarily old people. They were people who were mature in the faith. Okay, that's what an elder means. And they were given authority in these local churches basically to do three things in an act of service. They were to shepherd, which means that's what the word elder means, actually. To shepherd or protect the flock from anything that would hurt it or harm it or any false doctrine that would creep in. They were also to not only do that, they were also to hold each other accountable. It was as a means of accountability in the early church that we are who we say we are and do what we say that we'll do. And so there was a matter of integrity to be upheld in the local congregations, and the elders were given that responsibility to provide that kind of oversight, which is another word for elder, overseer. I say all that just because I want you to understand that we are an elder shepherded body of believers here at Leesburg, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. We are very privileged to have a lot of wonderful men who have dedicated their time and energy and effort into making sure that this flock is protected and there's proper oversight and administrative responsibilities being taken care of as well. For the past couple of years, Jared Etienne, who is a dear friend of mine and of this congregation, has served as our chairperson of our elders. It wasn't his first rodeo, so to speak. He had served as chair in the past, and we were thrilled to have him back. And so I'm going to invite Jared to come up, and he's going to share just a couple of brief things with you at this time in regards to kind of the state of the church. Yeah, look at that. John led you.
Well, thanks, Sammy. Good morning. This is our annual meeting of Leesburg Church, 2020 edition. And the annual meeting gives us a chance to just give everybody an update of what's going on and to cover any official business we have as a church. So this year's edition is pretty short and easy because we don't really have any bylaw changes. We're not appointing any new elders. But concerning the elders, just to remind you or let you know for the first time perhaps, here at Leesburg we have at least 5 and up to 8 elders at any given time. We serve for a maximum of 3 years, and then we rotate off for at least a year. So speaking of rotating off, there are 2 of us that will be rotating off after 3 years of service. That'd be Sherman Combs and myself. And so that makes room for a few more. So these three gentlemen will be rejoining as elders. They've all served in the past. Rick Corbin, Joe Graves, and Terry Power. So give them a thanks for returning to being elders again. So they will be teaming with existing elders Henry Norfleet and Roger Berry, as well as Larry Heiler, who will take over as chairman. Jim Borders will continue as recording secretary, and Eric Schmidt, who will continue as our treasurer. So again, thank the elders, those coming back and those continuing to serve. Just a couple of financial tidbits that I wanted to share with you. So back in 2019, our budget was $717,000. We came in with actual expenses of $637,000, so we were good stewards, and we certainly thank everybody for supporting the ministry. Here in 2020, our budget will be $700,000. That averages out to about $13,000 to $14,000 per week. Another note, on this building we're in right now, I can't believe it. It seems like only a few weeks ago we built this, but it's been here for about 10 years. And we started with a mortgage on this building of $1.3 million, and we crossed an interesting milestone this past September in that we got that mortgage down below $1 million. So it's good to see a digit fall off of the mortgage for this building. Another financial point is, you may remember, if you've been around a while, that historically we've done a Thanksgiving offering, a big push to give glory to God and promote an offering once a year around Thanksgiving. Well, last year we changed that to Fifth Sundays instead of the annual push. So we're going to continue that this year, and the reason we want to do that is we allocate those Fifth Sunday offerings to our new building that's going on up on the hill behind us. We want to build that building with no new mortgage or loan or anything like that. So Fifth Sunday offerings will continue throughout this year, and we'll use each of those to advance the building up on the hill. So before I close, just want to let you know, if you're into some church nerdy stuff, there are copies of the bylaws and the budget available. Just grab me when it's over, and I'll let you see take a copy of that. And finally, to close out the annual meeting 2020 version, just want to give a thanks to deacons, all the volunteers that make everything happen here on a weekly basis, fellow elders, and especially the staff. I've said it at all services. I'll say it one more time. The staff makes it easy to be an elder around here, so I really appreciate Sammy and the team. And with that, we'll close the 2020 annual meeting.
Thank you, Jared. That is the most painless church meeting you'll ever be in your entire life. But that's kind of how it rolls around here. But just as Jared said, the staff makes it easy to be an elder. I want you to know the elders certainly make it a joy to be a part of the staff too here, and it works both ways. I'm going to hit several little things kind of rapid fire. I'm going to hit them pretty quick, and then I'm actually going to ask John at one point to come up, if he's up to it one more time, to come up and share a little bit of information about our Family Life Center in just a moment. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but there is something most of you probably wouldn't be, because you probably don't pay attention to this sort of thing. But as far as I know, we are the only church in the area, and not only in the area, but in the state of Kentucky, again, as far as I know, and I'll even go further, as far as I know, in the nation, that is very unique in one regard. We don't have a church board. I don't know if you're aware of that. There's no such thing as a church board here at Leesburg. And what I mean by that, we go by the biblical model. We are shepherded by elders, and we appoint deacons to serve according to their giftedness, just like they did in Acts chapter 6. So and because we don't have an official board like that, that also means something else. It means that we don't vote on anything. We never have a vote in leadership. Nobody says, I make a motion and I second it and we vote. That is a business model. That's not a biblical model. That's a business model that has affected the church. We believe that we want the church to affect the business world, not the other way around. And so we don't do that. We lead by consensus, which is the New Testament way. In Acts chapter 6, when they made a major structural change in how they were taking care of widows and orphans, they made a decision, and it seemed pleasing to the entire group. That's how they operated. That's how we operate here. So when there's a decision in front of us, we talk about it, we debate it, we, figure it all out. But then when we leave the room, we leave under one consensus, united in our effort. That if we can't, then we don't do it. We don't make that decision. That's how we operate here. That's why you all, as congregants, never hear what we're going to ask you to vote on, because we don't even do that in leadership. We're not going to do it here. You want to know why? Voting is divisive. You ever have a family vote on something? It's divisive. It divides. That's the intention of voting, which is contrary to everything that Jesus wanted for his church, which was unity. So we're not going to be caught up in voting on anything. We're going to lead as God leads us with his Spirit. We're going to talk about issues openly and transparently. We're going to arrive at consensus, and we're going to continue to make decisions in that regard. I feel very strongly, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but 2020 is an Olympic year. Did you all know that? It's an Olympic year. It's hard to believe it's rolled around so quickly again, and barring the fact that the virus doesn't spread from China all over the Asian world, it's going to be held in Tokyo, Japan this summer. I love the Olympics, and one of the things I love about it is I think back on some of the Olympic moments that are pretty awesome. And one of my favorite times was some of you I know are going to say, gosh, I can't believe all the way back. 1992 was put together for the first time professional basketball players, which made up what was called the Dream Team. I don't know for those of you who remember that. And the reason they were called the Dream Team is because they were the greatest group of basketball athletes that ever had been assembled, and in my opinion, have never been assembled that greatly since. And they steamrolled over the entire world, winning every game by 50, 60, 70 points all over the world. I mention that to you because I really am of the conviction that right now here at Leesburg, we have been able to coalesce and bring together what I'd like to call a dream team. A dream team of elders, a dream team of staff, and congregants and volunteers and I'm not saying that because I'm trying to be arrogant and saying we're better than everybody else in the world or we're more gifted or whatever. Here's what I mean when I say dream team. We have assembled a group of leaders particularly that have the ability to dream. That's the dream team. They have the ability to dream God-sized dreams. And it makes it exciting to be around as we just imagine, as we don't put God in a box and say he can or he can't do this, and we can and we can't do this. We really do believe in the God of the impossible, that he can make anything possible. And so we want to make sure that we move forward with that kind of thought. So on behalf of the staff and the congregation, I would like for us to do something as the Bible talks about, to give honor to whom honor is due. I'd like for you all to put your hands together in a spirit of appreciation for all of our deacons and all of our elders that have served through the years. Would you do that right now? In 2019, we added 2 new faces to positions that we actually already had established here at Leesburg. One of them was, as has been introduced to you on a couple occasions, David Sneller and his wife Stacy have joined our team. We're so thankful to have him as our family life minister. He brings a lot of experience and enthusiasm to the team as he continues to dream alongside of us, and so we're happy to have him. And then also Sandy Freilich had assumed a position that we've had for a while as our financial administrator, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment. In case you're unaware, and just so you can be in the know, we have 4 full-time ministry positions here. We have the lead ministry position, which I assume, at least presently, till otherwise given a pink slip, I'm that person. We have an associate ministry position occupied by Mr. John Welsh, better known as Swiss Army knife, because he can do a little bit of everything. And that's why he's perfect for the position, because he does a lot of things and he does them well. We have a worship minister, Matthew Douglas Simpson, better known as Matty, and we have our family life minister, whom I've already mentioned, David Schneller. We have 2 people who work as support staff that work 4 days a week. One of them is our communications and ministry assistant, Courtney Vaughn, whom you all are very familiar with. She's been with us for a few years. And then Paula Davis, who is our office administrator. Both of them are here Monday through Thursday, and then, of course, Courtney works some on the weekends as well. We do have some one part-time position I've already mentioned, Sandy Fralick. She works 2 days a week, taking care of all of our books and keeping everything in order. She's done an incredible job. We're very thankful for her. We do pay some people to do some contract labor for us during the course of the week on a very limited part-time basis. There are things that while we have volunteers that come and help clean, we do have a couple of areas in which you have to kind of give some incentives because it has to be done regularly, like draining and scrubbing the baptistry and refilling it. It's not an easy task. And so to do those kind of tasks and many others around here, like scrubbing toilets and things like that, and make sure the lights or bulbs are working, Johnny Latart puts in a few hours for us each week, as well as Lori Kane. We have some key volunteers like Donna Smith and Barb Huckett, who does a lot of volunteer cleaning for us here and at the hub, and we're very grateful for them and all that they do also. And you're welcome to become a part of that if you'd like. We also have Jay Miller Levi, who works by the hour for us and taking care of our tech needs here in this building and in the other building as well, computers, lighting, all those things, mics and so forth that need to be dealt with. Not only did 2019 bring some staff changes, but we also made a few other major decisions I just kind of want to highlight very quickly. We began our building on our Family Life Center, and John's going to come and talk about that in a few moments. But we also had another incredible opportunity early last year that presented itself, and it was something that we just kind of opened the door, and then God just kind of swung it open. I mean, he just kind of made big doors swing on small hinges, if you will. A ministry over in Cynthiana, previously known as Cornerstone Christian Church, realized that what they had envisioned for that ministry was not actually what had been happening over about a 12-year period. And so they began to kind of reevaluate who they were and what they were about. We were at that time partnering with them and having some of our small group Bible studies take place at Cornerstone Christian Church, which is located at 104 Court Street, downtown by the courthouse in Cynthiana. It's a 2,300 square foot facility. It's kind of a shotgun building that used to be a State Farm building that has a lot beside it, a parking lot that is now that lot right there that has access over to the street. Of course, Bianchi Restaurant would be right directly across if you want to know exactly where the location is. This has an upstairs and a downstairs to it, and we began to utilize that space with Cornerstone at the time, and then we began to have a conversation with them. James Smith, who he and his wife Paula were in the previous service, he was the minister there for a number of years, and he's also the mayor of Cynthiana, doing a fabulous job there. We began to meet with him and pray with him and talk about the future of that ministry and maybe how we could partner together. Long story short, after a lot of conversation, our leadership teams getting together, we came to the decision that we would have an acquisition of that property, that they would actually sell us, lock, stock, and barrel, everything that they had, that property, for the existing remainder of the mortgage, which was about $28,000. It's a $90,000 building, and we purchased it, got them out from under their mortgage at $28,000, and that immediately gave us equity as well as a presence in Cynthiana to be able to do things that we've been wanting to do for a long time. The idea of the leadership of Cornerstone was that this facility would always be future used for the advancement of the kingdom and outreach to the community, which is what our goal was with it as well. It is not a conducive building just by the way that it's laid out and structured for worship services. And so we decided we wanted to use it for small groups. Our men's ministry, known as the Bold Ministry, meets there weekly. I've personally helped lead 2 13-week sessions of Grief Share in this facility. We've had numerous Bible studies. We've had receptions. We've had some youth events. Last year, prior to Easter, we had, during Passion Week, it was open up every night with stations, prayer stations leading up to the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, giving everybody an opportunity. We opened it up during the Rod Run as a cooling station and literally had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people come by and use our restroom and our water facilities there. And it was a great benefit in breaking into some conversation with some people about church and the Lord and Christ and all those kind of things. We did a nativity scene there at Christmas, and we had a lot of people that came by for that. There's just been untold uses of this. We also use the upstairs, which we now have into a small, section of it is a small apartment that we have used to house our interns that come and stay and work with us. We also do our weekly podcast out of this facility. And if you do not have the Leesburg app, I want to encourage you to get it. You can do amazing things with that app as far as not only listening to our podcast, but our services, and you can give and see all of our events and all those kinds of things. As I'm speaking to you today, the hardwood floor at the hub is curing up. John and Terry Perut have worked very hard this past week in stripping and sanding that floor and prepping it back to its natural state. It's absolutely gorgeous, and we are going to continue to do several other things to prepare that building to use it to its maximum potential. Moving forward this summer, we want to use it as an outreach to the children in the community. We have some mission opportunities that we are going to use this summer to reach our community by doing some local things. We're going to have like a Palooza event this summer for the community, and we're excited about that. It's going to be driven out of the hub. Celebrate Recovery is getting ready to relaunch within 2 months, led by Maddie and Elizabeth Simpson. We're very excited about that. We are also thinking about and researching the possibility of using this facility as a potential hub for the distribution of commodities to the senior adults in Harrison County who qualify. Right now we have about 800 senior adults that qualify for senior commodities, but only about 120 are being served. And so we feel like this would be an opportunity to do some really cool outreach for our community. We call this facility the hub because that's what it is. It is the hub of our location downtown in Cynthiana to provide a wonderful physical means of outreach. We're hoping, for instance, part of the dreams with this is that we're hoping to take that side lot view that you just saw, the parking lot, and pave that, and up front to put a pocket park where we can have summer music and maybe even teaching and preaching, testimony kind of thing, where we can have Bible studies and all kinds of activities going on there. Really cool. Moving on to missions. I'm going to hit these really quick, but I just want you to kind of see where we're going and or what we've done and where we're going. In the past 18 years that I've been involved here, Leesburg Christian Church has moved from being a mission-supported ministry where we actually got support from other people to exist, to being a mission-supporting ministry, which I am probably of anything that we've done, am the most proud of the outreach that has happened here over the 18 years in changing people's lives. For instance, you're being a part of one mission that we're doing this morning. You don't even know it, and that is our Change for a Dollar program. The idea is that we bring change to people's lives by $1 represented by every head that is present on the weekend here at our campus. So every week we've given away $500 to $600 set up by a team of people who remain incognito for the obvious reasons as they review the application process that comes through our church office. And they have done a fabulous job at distributing funds to single moms, people who have been cancer-ridden and unable to work, to homeless, to some widows that really needed some help, to helping assist in the burials of spouses. We have assisted in helping with rehabilitation. The list goes on and on. I really don't even have the ability to speak on that without taking up the whole time frame. But it's a fantastic ministry, and because of your presence and your giving, we were able to do excess of $25,000 in 2019. I think that's fantastic. We also sent 22 servants to an Appalachian outreach called Big Creek Ministry, where not only was there construction being done, but Bible studies were had and ministry was given in all sorts of ways, and we're hoping to repeat that again this summer. And so if you're interested in that, you can get information out in our foyer about that. We also had 21 people, of which Sheree and I were very privileged to be a part of. We went to Costa Rica We ministered to the women's prison there, the schools, as we got to share scripture with students at school, teaching them English phrases like Jesus died for you and God loves you and things like that. We also went door to door. We distributed Bibles. We had conversations. We did construction on a local church facility there, worked really hard to help clean it up. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience, and I was very privileged to be a part of it. We had 50 people that went to Lee County this past fall to minister to one of the most impoverished areas of our state of Kentucky. We took toys and gifts and a meal and music, and for an entire Saturday ministered to the people of that region through Cumberland Mountain Outreach. Over 250 children were served and gifted and talked to and shared with. 160 some adults who came with them. It was an opportunity for us to go to our home area of Kentucky in a rural, downtrodden area and let people know that not only does God love them, but there's some people up in Leesburg that love them too. And people with flesh on them who care enough to come down here and say, we know that you understand that God cares, but we want you to know that we do as well. Terry and Joyce Rader have been heading up that ministry for years. They've done an excellent job. They're kind of backing off, even though they're going to stay involved with that ministry in 2020, but they're going to kind of pass the torch of leadership to a few other people, and so you might want to get involved with that. We provided one-time support to 3 foreign missionaries located in Sri Lanka, China, and South America. We want to make sure that we have a global vision as well as a local vision, so we don't ever want to forget that. I don't know if you're aware of this, and I was surprised. Somebody last week said they weren't aware of it, or last service, said they weren't aware of it, and they're here every week. We have a large wooden box, a container, over in our kitchen, and on it has 3 signs. It says Backpack Ministry, Food Pantry, and Clothing Closet, and we collect every week for those 3 ministries. We give them some monthly support, but we also collect every week for that. This past year, through the Backpack Ministry, we were able to provide over 900, close to 1,000 backpacks, which is take-home meals for children who do not have the nourishment given to them the weekend because they depend on school lunch to give it to them, and in the summer as well. And so we were able to provide those. Ron and Donna Evans head up that ministry. We collect things for that ministry to be distributed each week, plus some monthly support. And they put all that together. And all we ask you to do is help us to collect some items to put in that. In that box also is our clothing closet ministry, where we collect clothes every week that goes to the local clothing closet in Harrison County that serves the area. We have several volunteers for that. But we want your help and need your help, and that's why we ask you to clean out your closet, bring your stuff here. We'll make sure it gets to the clothing closet. We also give them some monthly support, so they can buy new underwear and socks and things of that nature, which are always on demand. The food pantry is also a big local mission that we support, providing hundreds and hundreds of meals each year, along with a fall drive where we gave over 200 boxes of stuffing so that those Christmas boxes could be delivered this past fall. And this has just been a fantastic way to minister, and this is something that we do each week. We also collected over 100 coats to give to our good friends at Parkside and Shady Lawn. We've done that ministry before, and we continue to participate in that, as well as other commodities throughout the year, personal items that help them with their hygiene and so forth. We also collected 340 boxes, I think, Nikki, is that correct, for Operation Christmas Child, which was fantastic. I don't know exactly how many came out of the area, but that was our contribution to that. We want to continue to do that and improve upon it. We also partner with a ministry called Not Alone Pregnancy Center located in Scott County that serves the whole area for women who find themselves either unwittingly or unexpectedly pregnant. They don't have anywhere to turn and maybe no resources or help or support. This is a pro-life organization, and we were able to collect $5,400 plus in baby bottles to support that ministry this past year. We will pick that up again this year and hopefully exceed that as we begin it on Mother's Day and end it on Father's Day. We had a record number of guests that came to our annual event called the Blessing Ball. If you're not familiar with that, it is a red carpet event that we have music and dancing and food for the mentally and physically challenged, in which we reached over 6 counties this year. We had 150 some guests with 385 total participants. It is a major undertaking led by Sally Levi and Sarah Welsh, who have done a wonderful job. I always pray for them, but I pray more for their husbands during that period, because they're the ones that go get it. Okay, whatever. Anyway, they do a wonderful job. And we have a lot of people that pitch in and do fantastic work there. And we hope that if you've never been a part of that ministry, you just hold on. It happens every September, and it's fantastic. I mention all that to you because I want to give you an invitation. On March the 29th, following this service at 1 o'clock, you're going to be given a free sit-down banquet meal for anybody here that wants to participate. It's our annual mission banquet. Our young people are going to serve the food during that to earn their way to participate in mission activity. We're going to have a fantastic meal. We're going to have a band with music that's going to be played in the background while we enjoy each other's company and the fellowship of a meal. Russell Johnson, who's a good friend of this community of believers, Leesburg Church, is going to be our guest speaker. He has a whole life of history with missions, and he's going to talk to us. The theme is going to be a Kentucky theme this year, so I'm anticipating a good hot brown at the meal. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking that's where we're leaning, and so hopefully we'll get to enjoy that. But I want you to come, because we're going to unveil a new initiative with regard to some of the local mission work that we're going to do this year, because you're not going to have to go to Costa Rica or Honduras or Guatemala. You're going to be able, if you would like to participate, come here every day for a week and participate in a mission trip right here locally that we are planning for anybody and everybody who would like to participate. And I'm really excited about it, and that's going to be unveiled at the banquet. Physically, we've had 2 projects in 2019 we're very grateful for. For a number of years, we've been concerned with the fact that we have only one entrance and exit, with the bottleneck being right down here, as many of you all are aware of, and trying to get in and out of this place with the majority of our parking behind the building. Due to the graciousness of Dwyla and Charlie Garnett, who are neighbors down the road here, they gave us and deeded over to us 50 feet access on the other side of our parking lot, access to 1842, so that we could have utility access for our new facility, as well as a new entrance and a drive potentially one day in the near future. We did that and asked for that and talked about that because of our new facility that's being built on the hill, our Family Life Center. I think the reason that we need this facility is obvious. We have very limited fellowship, particularly youth fellowship space on our present site now. And so the intent originally, when we began to look at what we wanted to do moving forward, you all probably are unaware of this, it's some history, is that there was a gentleman back in the 50s and 60s by the name of Turney Collins, who left his farm to Leesburg Church, which now makes up Leesburg Farms, okay, 70-some acres. Long story, but that eventually became mostly sold off. And it was the intent of Turney Collins at that time, according to his will, that he wanted, his vision for the future was there would be a community center here. We not only saw that as part of the vision of what we wanted to do as a church, but a vision that was actually birthed in the mind and heart of Turney Collins many years ago that had never been brought to fruition. And so now with our Family Life Center, that's exactly what we get to do. So far to date, we've invested about $400,000 in that building. We're halfway there. We definitely and desperately need your help as we wait and pray for funds to continue on to the next phase. We've decided to change our approach a bit, as Jared has alluded to, with Fifth Sunday offerings. But we have this thing out here called the Chest of Joash that's over in the corner that you can take advantage of anytime, any week, by giving an offering in that. That's out of the Old Testament, the idea of the Chest of Joash that was used to refurbish the temple in the Old Testament. That's where that idea comes from. We are excited about this because we realize that the possibilities are endless. I mean, absolutely endless of what we can do with this facility, and we anticipating using it each day of the week. So I'm going to invite John to come up. He's going to share a few words about it before we continue on.
You know, Sammy referred to us being a part of a dream team, which is kind of neat because I've never been a part of a team, especially a dream team. So that's kind of neat. But we've been dreaming a lot. See, we've been dreaming a lot about what this building can be and will be. And we're excited about what the future holds with this. You know, if you look at this image, kind of picture it in two different parts. On this side of the building, we're going to have a kitchen, we're going to have restrooms, but the majority of that space on your left-hand side is going to be a place for students, middle school, high schoolers specifically. We'll have a stage area, we'll have tables and game area and stuff like that. It's a reception area, generally speaking, right? And so we'll have stage. They can do youth group up there. They can do, you know, because here's the thing. Right now, our student ministry meets in the 200-year-old building next door, all right? That's full of stained glass. And you know what kids like to do, right? So this will be a lot better, all right? This will be a lot better for that. And the other side of this building is going to be about a 3/4 inch, or 3/4 inch. No, a lot bigger than that. 3/4 size basketball court. Again, it's space. I mean, each week we have people calling in asking for space to do parties and receptions and stuff like that. And so this will be a place for that. But even beyond that, we've been dreaming, how can we use this facility to make an impact in our community long term? And we've been dreaming about all kinds of things, far beyond just student ministry and wedding receptions. So we've been throwing out the idea, what if, you know, so many in our community, maybe they've never written a resume before. What if we had a class and said, okay, on Sunday afternoon, come to the Family Life Center, and we promote it to the whole area. Hey, if you've never written a resume, you're not sure how to go through the interview process with an employer, come and let's go through this class, and that'll get you prepared to go into the workforce. Maybe you're in a position where you look, here, we're married, and neither of us know how to cook. We can do cooking classes on Sunday afternoons. This is a place where our mothers of preschoolers, and it was pointed out to me, and I've never thought of this before, this last session, this is mothers of preschoolers. I'd love to be involved with that, but my child's not a preschooler yet. It's like younger than preschool. Mothers for preschoolers is for those moms too, all right? So birth through preschool, and I thought that was kind of a neat thing to think about. Mothers of preschoolers, they can have ample space up there to have kids playing and have space for their meetings. All kinds of things. Here's our goal. Our goal with this building is that there's an anchor in the souls of many young families, where as they age and as they grow, they can look back and say, you know what, there's a place on the hill that loves us, that cares for us. And when they face trials, at one point, they can look back and say, man, there's that place that loves us, that cares for us. It doesn't just want to talk to us on Sunday mornings, but wants to help and enrich our lives as a whole. That's what our goal is for this building. So I'm excited about the future with it, and I hope that you continue to be excited as we see it come to completion.
Fantastic. And the reason he mentioned that about the stained glass window in the other buildings is because he was involved in throwing a ball that broke the stained glass window, and he doesn't want to do that anymore. No, I appreciate it. Thank you, John. We do have, this is exciting. If you are curious about this, and you may be, because one of the things you've noticed, I don't care how long you've attended here, we don't put offering plates in front of your face and try to guilt you weekly into giving. We have giving boxes that are located at our entrance and exits of this room and the room out there, and we encourage you to do that. We need for you to do that to be able to keep on kingdom work. You can give online. You can do automated giving, like maybe you do with your own some of your personal bills from your account. You can do it that way. You can get on our app. You can give that way. Sheree and I have personally been tithers for our entire marriage. We've tried to give and beyond that, and I can't explain it, but God has blessed that, and He has His Spirit has worked through that, and we've always had what we needed and even what we wanted in most instances. I share that with you because I want you to do some self-reflecting and evaluating when it comes to your personal finances, and about how God can have a priority in the scheme of things. Because I'm telling you, nothing works like it in terms of prioritizing your financial world. I was telling the other service that I've been in ministry for 37 years, and I only can recall 3 occasions where anybody, and I've done hundreds and hundreds of funerals, when anybody actually willed any money to the church. 3 times. And one of those times, an elderly woman died and had over $1 million worth of property and left the church $1,000, and the family contested it. And because the family contested it, we didn't fight it, we just let them have it. That's where our world is today financially. I only mention that to you because I think we ought to consider not only how we give while we live, but maybe how we give when we die as well. And I don't know if you've ever thought about it, but I really think that we need to be tithers in death as well as tithers in life. So keep that in mind moving forward, and just food for thought. This past year, we averaged about 520 people in our worship attendance. We had about 40 additions. We're hoping that that momentum picks up and carries even further into the future. I also want to say to you, in lieu of the fact of what happened recently in the church at Texas, which was tragic indeed, and a couple of other churches as well, that we have a safety team in place here. We don't talk about it a lot because then it wouldn't be safe, right? So we keep it safe by keeping a low profile. But we have a number of people that are on our safety team. If you'd like to know more about that, we'd be certainly happy to talk to you about it. We have camera surveillance of this entire facility and grounds that's being recorded, except for the restrooms, of course, everywhere else. So just wanted to throw that out there in case, because I guarantee somebody asked me. But we have people that are here to protect our young people, what's going on in this room, out there, and I just wanted you to know that. We have one more big idea that we're kicking around, and I'm really excited about the potential. And when I say it's an idea, is that we haven't made a final decision because we're going to wait for your feedback. And I mean that sincerely. Again, we don't vote, so we got to do this by consensus, okay? So we want to hear what you have to say about that. Presently, we have 4 worship services. Saturday night, 6:05. It's been that way for the past 13 years. Hard to believe it's been that long, but it has. We've had Saturday night. And then we have the 8:30, the 9:45, and the 11:15. All of those services have served us well, but unfortunately what happens over that same period of time is that culture has changed over the years. Now, there's 2 ways to respond to a changing culture. You can either kind of wait and see what happens and knee-jerk react and try to stop the bleeding at some point if something goes bad, as you see it going bad, and just hope somebody else has to deal with it and I won't have to. Or you can be proactive and develop a strategy to be proactively working to try to find a solution to the problem. For the past 13 years that we've had our Saturday evening service, and again, it's been well received and we've had faithful attendance to that, but some things have changed. All of our local school sporting events and tournaments and band competitions are all now on Saturday. All manufacturing groups in our area now have a Saturday shift. That has changed over that period of time. It hasn't always been that way. Not only that, all of us would agree that many of our favorite collegiate sporting events that we support locally and abroad all happen on Saturday. For instance, last night at 6 o'clock, guess who played basketball while we had church? Now, I could look at those people who stayed home to watch basketball and I could go, shame on you, you're a bad Christian, you need to be in church. Or I can say, maybe we need to think about doing something a different way. Okay? So that's kind of what we have on our plate. And it's not just about that, but there's a lot of things. One of the key problems that we're having right now because of all the local youth activities that we have on Saturday is that we can't minister to our youth properly on Saturday night. We can't get volunteers because the volunteers are usually people who have children, and children are involved in all these other things. And it's very difficult to balance it all out. And so we want to have the greatest potential for outreach that we possibly can. We realize at some point everybody's got to make a decision, a priority. We understand that, but we want to do it the best we can. So what we're considering to do, moving forward with all those thoughts in mind, is that we're not presenting an idea to eliminate an evening service, but we are talking about the potential of moving Saturday evening to Sunday evening. That's what we're looking at, in lieu of all the things that I just said. That way, our volunteers would be a grander pool of volunteers. We would be able to have the opportunity to minister to more youth during that time frame. If somebody wanted to be gone part of the weekend, they have to be back Sunday evening anyway. It gives us a little bit better of a lead way to minister to all those people. It's less taxing on like our worship team who has to come 2 days if they want to participate on our weekend services versus one full day. That makes a big difference. There's just a lot of things to consider on this. So we're going to be giving you a survey and asking for your feedback on this before we continue, but I hope that you will consider it, because anytime we consider any change like this, what we do before we do anything else is we line it up with what we call our core values. And if you aren't familiar with our core values, they're on the big signs out in the foyer area. There are 6 decisive, not up for grabs things that we use to govern every decision that we make. Number 1, does it come under biblical authority? If the Bible speaks, we speak. If it doesn't, we don't, because the Bible is our guide. So it has to be at least scriptural in principle before we ever consider to do anything. Does it point to Jesus, who connects us to God? Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father but through me." Does everything that we do point to Him? Because if it doesn't, we don't do it, right? And does it provide us with the opportunity for community, which was the whole concept behind the church known as the bride of Christ, known as the body of Christ? Do we have an opportunity to link arms and do life together? And let me just add this. Whenever you talk about Leesburg, please don't say, "I go out to Sammy's church or John's church or Maddie's church." Don't say it like that. It's not our church. Don't even say it's your church. Don't say, "I'm going to my church." This is the Lord's church, okay? And it's our ministry. But whenever we talk about it, let's talk about it in context of it being the Lord's church, okay? I would really appreciate that moving forward, because I think that's what's turned the world off. And we need to guard against that. So we're going to talk about the Bible. We're going to talk about Jesus. We're going to do community. We're going to encourage every single one of you to not be a spectator or a bystander, but a player, and get involved in serving in some capacity, because that's your calling as a Christian, as a Christ follower. You don't have an option about that. It's not about whether I can talk you into it. That's what you are to do as you follow Christ. And so we encourage you to do that. We're going to try to do the very best to provide an environment where all those things can happen, as we continue to encourage you to look at other people and say, "Come and see," which is the biblical concept of evangelism. So I'm done. But I want to close with 3 brief scriptures. The Apostle Paul wrote these words in 1 Corinthians 12, and it said this: "You are the body of Christ." Hear me on this. And he went on to say, "And each one of you is a part of it." You don't get a pass on this. You're a part of the body. I've talked to numerous people this weekend who have shoulder surgery, knee surgery. They've had other surgeries. And I'll say, how is it that one little area can affect your whole body so greatly? It's because it's not working correctly. So it is with the body of Christ. Each one of you are a part of it, and we're not going to be able to get it done without you. So we need your help. We need your participation. Paul also wrote in 2 Corinthians 9, "Remember this, whoever sows sparingly will reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will reap generously." That's true with everything in life, not just money. It's true with your time. It's true with your ability. He goes on and says, "And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things and all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work." And then I just want to share with you before I dismiss Jesus' final prayer found in John 17. Jesus' final prayer. Before he ascended to go back with the Father, went like this. He said, "Father, that they may be one. Just as I am in you and you are in me, may they be in us. May they be one, so that the world may believe that you have sent me." That's what we're trying to do here. That's the vision for 2020. And all of us can be a player. All of us are on the dream team together. And as I've said many, many times before, and I believe it with more conviction today than I've ever said it, I truly believe the best is yet to come.